You are losing repeatedly, while certain people consistently win across diverse domains through 7 non-negotiable habits. They never compromise regardless of circumstances, mood, or difficulty. Recognizing that consistent winning is not luck, talent, or circumstances, but systematic adherence to specific daily practices that winners treat as absolutely mandatory while losers treat as optional suggestions. Knowing that non-negotiable means these habits happen every single day, without exception, excuse, or negotiation, making them foundation lifestyle, not occasional practices. Understanding that 7 specific habits practiced with unwavering consistency create compound advantages that make winning inevitable over time, while inconsistent effort guarantees perpetual mediocrity and losing years of potential achievement, because you treat success habits as negotiable optional practices done only when convenient, motivated, or easy, making non-negotiable commitment essential for consistent winning. This negotiable approach to success habits is systematically ensuring you're losing by allowing yourself to skip critical practices whenever you feel unmotivated, tired, or busy, creating inconsistency that prevents compound advantages from developing. Wasting your effort through sporadic intense bursts followed by complete abandonment, creating yo-yo pattern that builds nothing sustainable. Missing the compound effect that only comes from unwavering daily consistency, where small advantages multiply exponentially over months and years, enabling endless rationalization and excuse-making that prevents accountability, because if habits are negotiable, then skipping them is always justifiable, ensuring that decades pass without achieving what consistent, non-negotiable practice would have made inevitable, because winners never negotiate with themselves about fundamental habits, making non-negotiable commitment essential distinction. Developing non-negotiable winning habits is not about perfection or never struggling, but about making certain practices absolutely mandatory regardless of circumstances, creating unbreakable commitment. Not about adding endless practices, but identifying critical few habits that create disproportionate results, then making those truly non-negotiable, and not mysterious discipline, but systematic frameworks. This audiobook teaches 7 non-negotiable habits of people who always win, including starting every day with victory routine, establishing momentum, maintaining obsessive focus on highest leverage activities, practicing relentless execution without waiting for perfect conditions, conducting rigorous daily review and adjustment, investing in continuous skill development, building strategic relationships systematically, and protecting physical and mental energy as foundation, making these 7 habits truly non-negotiable, creating inevitable consistent winning. Stop treating success habits as optional and start making them non-negotiable. Stop sporadic effort and start unwavering consistency. Implement 7 habits without exception. Commit absolutely and win consistently through non-negotiable discipline, starting now. Chapter 1. Habit 1. Start every day with victory routine that establishes momentum. Chapter 1 starts every day with victory routine, establishing momentum, an optimal mental state that enables winning throughout entire day. The morning routine power shows that how you begin day fundamentally determines trajectory for all subsequent hours, with strong intentional morning, creating upward momentum, making challenges feel manageable and opportunities feel accessible, while reactive scattered morning creates downward spiral where everything feels harder and resistance dominates. That people who consistently win treat morning routine as absolutely non-negotiable practice happening every single day without exception, regardless of schedule, circumstances, feelings, or external pressures. That victory routine consists of specific proven practices designed to create optimal physical, mental, and emotional state for peak performance, rather than random pleasant activities that feel good but create no performance advantage. And understanding that non-negotiable morning routine is foundational winning habit that makes all other habits easier, because starting day with victory creates psychological momentum and confidence, making subsequent challenges feel achievable rather than overwhelming. Morning routine establishes daily momentum. Start with victory every day. Execute non-negotiably or lose before day begins. The momentum principle reveals powerful psychological mechanism through which morning victories create cascade of subsequent wins throughout day. Completing morning routine despite not feeling like it demonstrates self-control and commitment, creating immediate psychological victory. This early win proves to yourself that you control your actions regardless of feelings, generating confidence and momentum. The physical activation from morning exercise increases energy and alertness, making work feel easier. The mental clarity from morning planning or meditation reduces decision fatigue and reactive behavior. Each morning routine element compounds, creating optimal state for tackling day's challenges. Conversely, skipping morning routine or starting day reactively checking phone and email immediately creates sense of being behind and reactive, making entire day feel like catching up rather than leading. The victory routine elements include specific practices that consistently create optimal state rather than vague pleasant activities. Waking at consistent time every day, including weekends, creates stable circadian rhythm, improving sleep quality, energy levels, and cognitive function. Consistent wake time is non-negotiable even when sleep was poor, because inconsistency destroys rhythm, requiring constant readjustment. Immediate hydration after waking replaces fluids lost overnight and activates metabolism. Quality nutrition within first hour provides sustained energy through protein, healthy fats, and complex carbohydrates, avoiding blood sugar crashes that impair focus and decision-making. Movement or exercise for minimum 20 to 30 minutes activates cardiovascular system, releases endorphins, improves mood, and demonstrates physical capability, building confidence. Exercise intensity should energize, not exhaust, with vigorous but sustainable effort. Mindfulness practice, meditation or journaling for 5 to 15 minutes creates mental clarity, processes overnight thoughts, and establishes intentional rather than reactive mindset. Strategic planning, reviewing top priorities, and scheduling deep work blocks for highest leverage activities ensures proactive rather than reactive day. The non-negotiable execution means victory routine happens every single day regardless of circumstances, schedule changes, travel, or how you feel. When traveling, modified routine maintains core elements even if timing or specific activities adjust. When sick, gentler version maintains commitment without compromising recovery. When schedule changes, routine adjusts timing but never gets skipped entirely. The key is maintaining streak, not executing perfect routine, because streak builds identity of person who follows through regardless of obstacles. Breaking streak because circumstances are difficult teaches that commitments are negotiable when things get hard, undermining all commitments, not just morning routine. The routine design process involves selecting specific practices that create optimal state for your priorities and personality, rather than copying someone else's routine. Identify what physical, mental, and emotional state enables your best performance. Design routine that reliably creates that state through proven practices. Start with minimum viable routine that you can execute even on difficult days, preventing abandonment from overambitious design. Common mistake is designing elaborate 2-hour routine that works perfectly under ideal conditions, but gets completely abandoned when time is limited. Better to have simple 30-minute routine executed daily than elaborate routine executed sporadically. The progressive enhancement approach starts with core non-negotiable elements, then adds optional enhancements when time permits. Core routine might be wake at same time, hydrate, 20-minute exercise, 5-minute planning. Enhancements when time permits might add meditation, reading, or extended planning. Core elements happen every day without exception. Enhancements happen when possible, but their absence does not break streak or commitment. This prevents all or nothing thinking that leads to complete abandonment when perfect execution is impossible. The identity reinforcement through consistent execution transforms morning routine from thing you do into expression of who you are. After executing routine for weeks and months despite obstacles and resistance, you develop identity as person who follows through on commitments regardless of feelings. This identity shift makes routine feel authentic and natural rather than imposed discipline. The routine becomes part of you rather than external requirement, making it self-sustaining rather than requiring constant willpower. The implementation requires designing specific victory routine, including consistent wake time, hydration, nutrition, movement, and planning. Starting with minimum viable version executable even on difficult days. Executing routine every single day without exception, excuse, or negotiation. Maintaining streak as priority even when perfect execution is impossible. Gradually enhancing core routine as it becomes automatic, and treating morning routine as absolutely non-negotiable foundation, creating daily momentum where inconsistent reactive mornings created perpetual catch-up mode, preventing any sustained winning. Morning routine establishes daily momentum. Start with victory every day. Execute non-negotiably or lose before day begins. You understand now that morning determines day trajectory, that specific practices create optimal state, that non-negotiable means no exceptions ever, that streak builds identity of follow-through, and that Chapter 1 provides morning foundation, making consistent winning possible, where reactive scattered mornings guaranteed losing before day truly began. Chapter 2. Habit 2. Maintain obsessive focus on highest leverage activities. Chapter 2 maintains obsessive focus on highest leverage activities that create disproportionate results, refusing all distractions and low-value tasks. The leverage principle shows that small percentage of activities create vast majority of results, making ruthless focus on high leverage activities essential for consistent winning. That winners identify and obsessively prioritize the few activities with highest return on invested time and effort, while systematically eliminating or delegating everything else. That non-negotiable focus means protecting time and attention for leverage activities through refusing meetings, requests, and opportunities that seem urgent but deliver low actual value. That most people scatter effort across countless low-leverage tasks, creating illusion of productivity while making no meaningful progress on what actually matters. And understanding that obsessive leverage focus is essential non-negotiable winning habit because diffused attention across many activities prevents the concentrated effort required for breakthrough results, making focus discipline fundamental distinction between consistent winners and perpetual strivers. Focus obsessively on highest leverage activities. Protect deep work time. Prioritize leverage or scatter effort wastefully. The Pareto identification involves systematically analyzing your activities to find a critical 20% that produce 80% of actual results, then ruthlessly prioritizing those activities above all others. For business professional, highest leverage activities might include strategic planning, key client relationships, and core skill development, while low-leverage activities include most meetings, administrative tasks, and reactive email responses. For entrepreneur, highest leverage might include product development, direct sales, and strategic partnerships, while low leverage includes social media, networking events, and minor optimizations. Honest analysis reveals that you likely spend majority of time on low-leverage activities because they feel urgent, create busyness, and require less difficult focused thinking than true leverage work. Identifying your personal highest leverage activities requires asking which activities, if executed excellently, would create disproportionate positive impact on results, which activities only you can do that cannot be delegated or eliminated, and which activities compound, creating increasing returns over time rather than requiring repeated effort for same result. The deep work blocks protect extended, uninterrupted time for highest leverage activities, treating focus time as sacred, non-negotiable commitment. Deep work, as defined by C.L. Newport, requires sustained concentration on cognitively demanding tasks without distraction, enabling production of valuable output impossible during fragmented attention. Most people never experience true deep work because they allow constant interruptions from notifications, messages, and requests, preventing the sustained focus that breakthrough work requires. Winners schedule specific deep work blocks, typically 2 to 4 hours, protecting that time as rigorously as important client meeting. During deep work blocks, phone is off, email is closed, door is shut, and all notifications are disabled, creating environment supporting sustained concentration. Deep work blocks are scheduled for personal peak energy times, recognizing that focused thinking requires optimal cognitive resources. Common mistake is relegating important focused work to leftover time after handling urgent matters when energy and willpower are depleted, guaranteeing suboptimal performance. The ruthless elimination removes or delegates low leverage activities, freeing time and mental capacity for high leverage focus. Most calendars are filled with low-leverage commitments accepted through inability to say no or false belief that being busy equals being productive. Winners systematically eliminate low-leverage activities by declining meeting invitations that do not advance highest priorities, delegating administrative and routine tasks to others even when you could do them faster yourself, because your time is better spent on leverage activities only you can do. Automating repetitive processes, removing them from manual effort entirely, and simply stopping activities that seemed important when initiated, but analysis reveals create minimal actual value. Elimination feels uncomfortable initially because removing activities creates visible empty time, making you seem less busy. But this empty time is precisely what enables deep work on leverage activities. The focus protection requires defending deep work time against constant invasion attempts from urgent but low leverage demands. Every day brings request meetings and opportunities that seem important and urgent, creating pressure to sacrifice leverage focus for reactive response. Winners protect focus by establishing clear boundaries, communicating when they are and are not available, batching low-leverage activities like email and meetings into specific time blocks, preventing constant interruption of focused work, using commitment devices like accountability partners or public declarations, making focus time harder to abandon, and accepting that some people will be frustrated by your unavailability, recognizing that consistent winning requires disappointing others. Expectations of immediate access. The single-tasking discipline maintains complete attention on one high-leverage activity until completion or natural stopping point, rather than fragmenting attention across multiple tasks simultaneously. Multitasking is a productivity myth that actually reduces output quality and efficiency through attention switching costs. Winners work on one important thing at a time, giving it complete focus until reaching natural transition point, then shifting full attention to next priority. This sustained single-task focus produces dramatically higher quality output in less time than scattered multitasking approach. The implementation requires honestly identifying your personal highest leverage activities that create disproportionate results. Scheduling protected deep work blocks of 2 to 4 hours for leverage activities during peak energy times. Eliminating or delegating all possible low-leverage activities, freeing capacity for leverage focus. Defending deep work time rigorously against requests and interruptions. Practicing single-tasking, giving complete attention to one priority at a time, and treating obsessive leverage focus as absolutely non-negotiable habit, where scattered attention across many low-value activities created busyness without meaningful progress, preventing any consistent winning. Focus obsessively on highest leverage activities. Protect deep work time. Prioritize leverage or scatter effort wastefully. You understand now that small percentage of activities create majority of results, that deep work requires protected, uninterrupted time, that ruthless elimination frees capacity for leverage, that focus protection requires disappointing others, and that Chapter 2 provides leverage focus, making concentrated effort possible where scattered attention prevented breakthrough results. Chapter 3. Habit 3. Practice relentless execution without waiting for perfect. Chapter 3 practices relentless execution, taking action and moving forward despite imperfect conditions, uncertainty, or fear. The execution bias shows that people who consistently win execute relentlessly, taking action every single day, or people who consistently lose weight endlessly for perfect conditions, optimal circumstances, complete information, or confidence that never arrive. That non-negotiable execution means taking concrete action, advancing important projects every day regardless of feelings, readiness, or circumstances, refusing to accept delay or procrastination as options. That imperfect action beats perfect planning because execution creates feedback, learning, and momentum that thinking and planning alone cannot provide, while planning without execution produces zero actual results. That waiting for perfect is disguised procrastination, creating illusion of productivity through preparation while avoiding the discomfort, risk, and potential failure that actual execution involves. And understanding that relentless daily execution, despite imperfection, is critical non-negotiable winning habit because consistent forward progress compounds exponentially over time, while perfect planning without action creates zero compound returns, making execution discipline essential distinction. Execute relentlessly despite imperfect conditions. Take action daily. Execute now or wait forever for perfect. The imperfect action principle accepts and embraces reality that initial efforts will inevitably be flawed, incomplete, or suboptimal, but that executing imperfectly provides feedback and learning impossible to obtain through planning, allowing rapid iteration toward excellence that pure planning prevents. First version of any project will be mediocre. First attempt at difficult skill will be awkward. First outreach to important relationship will be clumsy. These imperfect initial executions feel uncomfortable because they expose your current limitations, making you vulnerable to judgment and failure. However, imperfect execution creates the experience and feedback that enables improvement, while waiting for perfect ability before starting ensures you never develop that ability, because ability comes from practice, not from preparation. Winners accept that starting messy and improving through iteration beats waiting to start perfectly. The daily progress requirement establishes that important projects must advance through concrete measurable actions every single day without exception, not just thinking, planning, or intending, but actual execution, creating tangible output or progress. Daily progress might be small, perhaps only 30 minutes of focused work, but it must be real execution, not preparation for execution. Writing daily progress means words written, not research conducted. Business building daily progress means customer contacted, not business plan refined. Skill development daily progress means deliberate practice completed, not tutorial watched. The requirement for daily concrete action prevents the infinite preparation trap, where you continuously prepare without ever executing, because preparation feels safer than execution, but produces no actual results. The bias toward action framework from Amazon and other high-performance organizations establishes that when facing decision with incomplete information and uncertain outcomes, default should be taking action and learning from results rather than waiting for complete information before acting. Most decisions are reversible, allowing course correction if initial action proves suboptimal, making delay more costly than imperfect action. Irreversible high-stakes decisions warrant more analysis, but even then analysis has diminishing returns where additional thinking produces minimal additional clarity, making execution the better learning tool. Bias toward action means defaulting to do something rather than defaulting to wait and see. The failure tolerance requirement acknowledges that relentless execution inevitably produces failures, setbacks, and mistakes, making tolerance for failure essential for sustaining execution habit. If you require every action to succeed perfectly, you will execute rarely because fear of failure will cause analysis paralysis and avoidance. Winners view failures as tuition paid for education, accepting that mistakes are an inevitable cost of rapid learning through execution. Each failure provides information about what does not work, enabling adjustment. Failure is problem only when you fail to extract learning, or when you quit rather than adjusting. Consistent execution with learning from failures creates far more success than cautious avoidance of all potential failures. The momentum compounding shows that daily execution creates psychological and practical momentum, making subsequent execution easier, while breaks in execution create inertia, making restart difficult. Object in motion stays in motion. Daily execution streak builds identity of person who takes action regardless of feelings or circumstances. Missing days break streak and momentum, requiring effortful restart. Winners protect execution streaks as priority, maintaining daily forward progress even when amount is small, because maintaining momentum is more important than any single day's output quantity. The done is better than perfect mantra prioritizes completion and iteration over endless refinement of work that never ships. Perfectionism disguised as high standards actually sabotages winning through preventing completion of good work while pursuing unattainable perfect work. Ship the good version now and improve it based on feedback, rather than endlessly refining in isolation, pursuing perfect version that never emerges. Completed good work creates value and learning. Incomplete perfect work creates nothing. The implementation requires committing to advancing important projects through concrete actions every single day without exception. Accepting and embracing that initial execution will be imperfect but provides essential feedback, defaulting to action rather than waiting for complete information or perfect conditions. Tolerating and learning from inevitable failures and mistakes, viewing them as tuition for education. Maintaining daily execution streaks, protecting momentum as priority. Shipping completed good work rather than endlessly refining toward unattainable perfection. And treating relentless daily execution as absolutely non-negotiable habit, where waiting for perfect conditions or complete confidence prevented all actual progress, ensuring perpetual losing through inaction. Execute relentlessly despite imperfect conditions. Take action daily. Execute now or wait forever for perfect. You understand now that winners execute while losers wait, that imperfect action beats perfect planning, that daily progress requirement prevents preparation trap, that failure tolerance enables sustained execution, and that Chapter 3 provides execution discipline, making consistent forward progress possible where waiting for perfect guaranteed perpetual delay. Chapter 4. Habit 4. Conduct rigorous daily review and rapid adjustment. Chapter 4 conducts rigorous daily review, examining results honestly and making rapid adjustments, creating continuous improvement impossible without systematic reflection. The review habit shows that people who consistently review their performance every single day, identifying what worked, what failed, and what needs adjustment, while people who consistently repeat same mistakes indefinitely because they never pause to examine results and extract learnings. That non-negotiable daily review means scheduled, dedicated time each evening to honestly assess day's execution against plans and goals, refusing to skip review regardless of how tired, busy, or discouraged you feel that review without concrete adjustment is worthless intellectual exercise because awareness without changed behavior produces same results, making adjustment the critical component that transforms review into winning tool. That most people avoid honest review because examining failures and shortcomings feels uncomfortable, making avoidance tempting. That avoidance guarantees repeating mistakes, while honest review enables improvement. And understanding that daily review and rapid adjustment is essential non-negotiable winning habit because it creates rapid iteration and continuous improvement that compounds dramatically over weeks and months, while lack of systematic review ensures blindly repeating ineffective approaches. Review daily and adjust rapidly. Learn from every day. Review rigorously or repeat mistakes indefinitely. The evening review process establishes specific structured examination conducted at same time each evening, creating consistent habit. Review begins by comparing actual execution against morning plan, identifying where you followed through on intentions and where you deviated. Honest comparison reveals gap between intended actions and actual actions, surfacing the excuses, rationalizations, and distractions that cause deviation. Next, examine results produced by day's activities, assessing whether efforts moved you meaningfully toward goals or consumed time without creating real progress. Results assessment reveals whether you are working on right things or staying busy with low leverage activities. Then identify specific successes and failures from days, celebrating what worked well to reinforce effective behaviors, while unflinchingly acknowledging what failed or fell short. Many people inflate successes while minimizing failures, creating distorted self-assessment that prevents learning. Honest review requires acknowledging failures as clearly as successes. The learning extraction asks specific questions about each failure or shortcoming to derive actionable insights, rather than just noting that something went wrong. What specifically caused this failure or shortcoming? Was it lack of planning, poor execution, unrealistic expectations, external obstacles, or something else? What would have prevented this problem? What will you do differently tomorrow to avoid repeating it? Specific causal analysis and concrete preventive actions transform vague awareness of problems into actual improvements. Generic conclusion, like "I need to focus better," produces no change. Specific conclusion, like "I got distracted by email because I checked it during deep work block, therefore tomorrow I will close email entirely during deep work," creates actual improvement. The adjustment identification determines concrete specific changes to implement tomorrow based on review insights. Adjustments should be small, actionable, and specific rather than vague aspirations. Good adjustment is "I will wake up 15 minutes earlier to complete full morning routine," not "I will be more disciplined." Good adjustment is "I will schedule specific 2-hour deep work block from 9 to 11 a.m. for highest priority project," not "I will focus better." Good adjustment is "I will decline meeting invitation that does not advance top 3 priorities," not "I will manage time better." Specific, actionable adjustments can be executed and evaluated, while vague intentions cannot. The written documentation requirement means review and adjustments are written in journal or document, not just mentally contemplated. Writing forces clarity and specificity that mental review lacks. Written review creates permanent record, enabling pattern recognition over time as you review past entries, identifying recurring problems requiring systematic solutions, not just daily adjustments. Documentation also creates accountability, making commitments more binding than fleeting thoughts. Winners maintain daily review journals documenting execution, results, learnings, and adjustments, creating valuable record of growth. The rapid iteration principle shows that daily review and adjustment creates learning cycle with 24-hour feedback loop, enabling extraordinarily rapid improvement. Traditional approaches involve executing for weeks or months before examining results, creating slow learning with long delay between action and feedback. Daily review compresses feedback loop to single day, enabling testing, adjusting, and retesting ideas rapidly. This rapid iteration creates far faster improvement than infrequent review, because you make hundreds of small adjustments over weeks rather than few large adjustments over months. Rapid iteration also prevents small problems from becoming large crises, because daily review catches deviations early when correction is easy. The pattern recognition over time emerges from reviewing daily journal entries, identifying recurring themes and systemic issues requiring more fundamental changes than daily adjustments. If review repeatedly notes distraction during deep work, systemic solution might be changing deep work location or eliminating notification sources entirely. If review repeatedly notes energy crashes at specific time, Systemic solution might be changing meal timing or composition. Patterns invisible in single day become obvious across weeks, revealing leverage points for major improvements. The honest self-assessment requirement means confronting truth about your performance without self-deception, excuse-making, or rationalization. This is uncomfortable because honest assessment often reveals that you are not executing as well as you believe, or that problems are your fault, not external circumstances. However, honest assessment is prerequisite for improvement because you cannot fix problems you refuse to acknowledge. Winners develop ruthless honesty in self-assessment, accepting responsibility for results rather than blaming circumstances. The implementation requires scheduling non-negotiable daily review time each evening, preferably same time, creating consistent habit. Honestly comparing actual execution against morning plan and goals, identifying specific successes and failures, extracting concrete learnings from each, determining specific actionable adjustments to implement tomorrow, writing review and adjustments in permanent journal, creating documentation and accountability, looking for patterns across days, identifying systemic issues requiring fundamental changes, and treating rigorous daily review and rapid adjustment as absolutely non-negotiable habit where lack of systematic reflection prevented learning from experience, ensuring indefinite repetition of same mistakes. Review daily and adjust rapidly. Learn from every day. Review rigorously or repeat mistakes indefinitely. You understand now that winners review daily while losers repeat blindly, that honest assessment is uncomfortable, but essential, that specific adjustments create actual change, that rapid iteration compounds learning, and that Chapter 4 provides review system making continuous improvement possible where lack of reflection guaranteed repeating ineffective approaches. Chapter 5. Habit 5. Invest systematically in continuous skill development. Chapter 5 invests systematically in continuous skill development, treating learning as non-negotiable daily practice that compounds into extraordinary expertise. The continuous learning principle shows that people who consistently invest in developing their capabilities every single day, knowing that skills determine ceiling for results, making skill development highest leverage long-term investment. That non-negotiable learning means dedicated daily practice regardless of how busy, tired, or advanced you already are, because skill development is never complete and skills deteriorate without maintenance. That small consistent learning investments compound dramatically over months and years through exponential expertise growth that sporadic intense learning bursts cannot match. That most people stop deliberately developing skills once they achieve basic competence, creating stagnation, while winners continue systematic development throughout careers, creating widening capability gap. And understanding that daily systematic skill investment is essential non-negotiable winning habit, because capabilities ultimately determine what you can achieve, making continuous skill expansion fundamental to sustained winning across changing conditions and increasing competition. Invest in skills daily without exception. Practice deliberately. Develop continuously or stagnate inevitably. The deliberate practice requirement distinguishes between mindless repetition that maintains current level and deliberate practice that systematically expands capabilities. Deliberate practice, as defined by Anders Ericsson, involves focused practice on specific skills at edge of current ability with immediate feedback and conscious adjustment, creating continuous capability expansion. Simply doing your job repeatedly is not deliberate practice because it typically involves executing within comfortable current capabilities rather than systematically expanding them. Deliberate practice is uncomfortable because it requires operating at edge where failure is common and concentrated attention is required. Winners schedule specific deliberate practice time separate from performance time because practice and performance require different mindsets. Practice is for expanding capabilities through focused struggle. Performance is for executing current capabilities. Confusing them limits both. The daily learning commitment establishes that skill development happens every single day through protected, dedicated time, not relegated to occasional workshops or sporadic reading when motivated. Daily learning might include 30 to 60 minutes of focused study, deliberate practice of specific skill, or consumption of educational content, but it must be intentional, systematic learning, not passive entertainment or random browsing. Common forms include reading books or articles in your field, taking online courses, systematically working through structured curriculum, practicing specific skills through exercises or projects, studying masters in your domain, analyzing their approaches and techniques, and teaching others, forcing deep understanding through explanation. The critical element is consistency, creating compound learning impossible through sporadic effort. The skill prioritization involves identifying which specific skills create disproportionate results in your domain, focusing development effort on highest leverage capabilities. Not all skills matter equally. Some create extraordinary returns while others create minimal impact, making strategic selection essential. For business professional, highest leverage skills might include strategic thinking, persuasive communication, and relationship building, while lower leverage might include advanced spreadsheet techniques. For creative professional, highest leverage might include core craft skills, marketing ability, and project management. Identify skills that, if mastered, would create disproportionate positive impact. Then focus systematic development there rather than scattered effort across many skills. The progressive overload principle from physical training applies to skill development, requiring gradually increasing difficulty to force adaptation. Practicing at comfortable current level maintains, but does not expand capabilities. Improvement requires consistently working at edge of current ability, where success is uncertain and failure is common, forcing nervous system to adapt by developing new capabilities. Progressive overload means systematically increasing difficulty as current level becomes comfortable. In learning, this might mean tackling increasingly complex problems, increasing speed or quality requirements, or removing supporting aids that made tasks easier. Winners consistently push beyond comfortable, creating continuous capability expansion. The feedback integration requires seeking and incorporating feedback on practice, enabling course correction toward optimal technique. Practice without feedback often reinforces suboptimal technique, limiting improvement. Effective feedback shows gap between current execution and optimal execution, enabling targeted adjustment. Feedback sources include coaches or mentors providing expert assessment, performance metrics showing objective results, and peer comparison revealing relative standing. Winners actively seek feedback rather than avoiding it because they prioritize improvement over protecting ego from uncomfortable truths. The learning streak maintenance protects daily learning habit through tracking consecutive days and prioritizing streak preservation. Learning streak provides intrinsic motivation and accountability, making missing day psychologically costly. Even on extremely busy or difficult days, minimal learning like 10-minute reading maintains streak and habit. Streak breaking creates inertia, making restart difficult. Winners protect learning streaks as priority, knowing daily consistency matters more than any single day's quantity. The implementation requires identifying highest leverage skills, creating disproportionate results in your domain, scheduling protected daily learning time of minimum 30 to 60 minutes, treating it as non-negotiable appointment, engaging deliberate practice at edge of current ability with progressive difficulty increases, seeking and integrating feedback showing gap between current and optimal performance, maintaining daily learning streak, tracking consecutive days, and protecting continuity, and treating systematic continuous skill development as absolutely non-negotiable habit, where sporadic learning or assuming current capabilities are sufficient guaranteed eventual irrelevance as skills stagnate while competition advances. Invest in skills daily without exception. Practice deliberately, develop continuously, or stagnate inevitably. You understand now that skills determine results ceiling, that deliberate practice expands capabilities while repetition maintains, that daily consistency compounds exponentially, that progressive overload forces adaptation, and that Chapter 5 provides skill development system, making continuous capability expansion possible where assuming competence guaranteed stagnation. Chapter 6. Habit 6. Build strategic relationships systematically, not opportunistically. Chapter 6 builds strategic relationships systematically through consistent long-term investment, not opportunistic networking only when immediately needing something. The relationship investment shows that people who consistently win build and maintain valuable relationships systematically through regular outreach and value provision long before needing anything, creating relationship capital that opens doors and creates opportunities impossible to access alone. That non-negotiable relationship building means consistent regular contact with key relationships regardless of immediate benefit or need, refusing to only reach out when wanting something. That strategic relationships compound over years, creating increasing returns through trust, depth, mutual understanding, and reciprocal value exchange that new relationships cannot match. That most people approach relationships opportunistically, reaching out only when needing help, job introduction, or favor, creating transparent self-serving behavior that repels rather than attracts quality relationships. and understanding that systematic strategic relationship building is critical non-negotiable winning habit because extraordinary opportunities and achievements almost always come through relationships, making relationship investment highest leverage long-term activity for consistent winning. Build relationships systematically before needing them. Provide value consistently. Invest strategically or network opportunistically. The systematic outreach establishes regular contact rhythm with important relationships through scheduled touchpoints, preventing the out-of-sight, out-of-mind dynamic that degrades relationships over time. Strategic relationships require regular maintenance through meaningful contact, not just occasional interaction when needing something. Systematic outreach might include monthly check-in calls with key mentors, quarterly coffee meetings with important professional contacts, weekly messages to close colleagues, or daily brief interactions with immediate team members depending on relationship tier and proximity. The key is establishing and maintaining consistent rhythm, creating reliable presence in others' lives. Calendar scheduling ensures outreach happens systematically rather than sporadically when remembered. Winners block time weekly for relationship maintenance, treating it as important as client meetings or project work because relationships create long-term opportunities exceeding value of any single transaction. The value-first approach provides help, information, connections, and support to others before requesting anything in return, creating generous reputation and reciprocal goodwill. Most people approach relationships transactionally, only investing when expecting immediate return. This creates obvious self-serving dynamic that people instinctively avoid. Winners provide value generously, sharing useful information, making helpful introductions, offering genuine assistance without tracking favors owed or expecting immediate reciprocation. This generous, consistent value provision builds relationship capital that eventually creates far more return than transactional approach ever could. Value provision might include sharing relevant articles or opportunities, making introductions between people who could help each other, offering expertise or feedback when someone faces challenge in your domain, or simply being reliable, supportive presence. The value provided should be genuine and relevant, not generic gestures checking box. The strategic targeting focuses relationship investment on people who share aligned values and goals, operate in adjacent or overlapping domains, enabling mutual value exchange, are themselves relationship investors, creating reciprocal dynamic, not one-sided effort, and demonstrate high integrity and competence, making them valuable long-term partners. Not all relationships deserve equal investment. Some are significantly more valuable strategically than others, making selection important. Winners are selective about relationship investment, focusing effort on highest potential relationships rather than diffusing effort across countless shallow connections. Quality beats quantity in relationships. 10 deep, genuine relationships create far more value than 100 superficial acquaintances. The long-term perspective recognizes that most valuable relationships develop slowly over years, not instantly through single interaction. Trust, depth, and mutual understanding built through repeated interactions over extended time, making patience and consistency essential. Winners play infinite game with relationships, investing today for value that may not materialize for months or years, accepting that some investments will not produce immediate returns. This contrasts with opportunistic approach, seeking immediate benefit from each interaction. Long-term relationship investment compounds exponentially as trust depth enables increasingly meaningful collaboration and support. The authentic, genuine connection requires being real and vulnerable in relationships, not projecting polished, perfect image that prevents actual connection. Authentic relationships involve sharing struggles and uncertainties, not just successes, admitting when you do not know something rather than pretending expertise, and being honest about intentions and limitations. Authenticity creates deeper, more meaningful relationships than performative networking that maintains surface-level professional facade. Winners build real relationships with real people, not just professional contacts with resumes. The reciprocal maintenance acknowledges that valuable relationships are mutual investments requiring both parties to contribute value and maintain contact. One-sided relationships, where only one person invests effort, inevitably decay. Winners ensure they provide value proportional to or exceeding value received, maintaining balanced reciprocal dynamic. This means responding when people reach out, following through on commitments, and regularly checking whether you are providing value or only extracting it. The implementation requires identifying strategic relationships that align with values, goals, and domains deserving systematic investment, establishing regular outreach rhythm through calendar scheduling, ensuring consistent contact, not just opportunistic reaching out when needing something, providing value generously through sharing, helping, and connecting before requesting anything. Focusing relationship investment on quality over quantity, building depth with key people. Maintaining long-term perspective, accepting that relationship value compounds over years. Being authentic and vulnerable, creating genuine connection, not performative networking. Ensuring reciprocal value exchange, contributing proportionally to value received. And treating systematic, strategic relationship building as absolutely non-negotiable habit. Opportunistic networking only when needing something, created shallow self-serving reputation, preventing quality relationships that create extraordinary opportunities. Build relationships systematically before needing them. Provide value consistently. Invest strategically or network opportunistically. You understand now that winners invest in relationships before needing them, that value-first approach builds goodwill, that systematic outreach maintains relationships, that long-term perspective compounds returns, and that Chapter 6 provides relationship system, making strategic network possible where opportunistic approach created shallow connections. Chapter 7. Habit 7. Protect physical and mental energy as sacred foundation. Chapter 7 protects physical and mental energy, treating them as sacred, non-negotiable foundation that enables all other winning habits and performance. The energy foundation shows that all performance achievement and execution ultimately depend on available physical and mental energy, with depleted energy guaranteeing poor results regardless of skills, strategies, or opportunities. That people who consistently win treat energy protection as absolute highest priority through non-negotiable sleep, exercise, nutrition, and recovery practices, refusing to sacrifice energy for short-term gains that create long-term depletion. That treating energy management as optional or negotiable based on immediate demands ensures eventual burnout, destroying all accumulated progress and forcing extended recovery period that eliminates months or years of potential achievement. That most people chronically underinvest in energy protection, sacrificing sleep, cutting exercise, and eating poorly under illusion that these sacrifices enable more work when actually they reduce work quality and quantity through impaired cognitive function and declining health. And understanding that protecting physical and mental energy as sacred foundation is absolutely essential, non-negotiable winning habit, because without adequate energy, all other habits become impossible, making energy protection prerequisite for everything else. Protect energy as sacred foundation. Prioritize sleep, exercise, recovery. Guard energy or lose capacity for everything. The sleep priority establishes 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep as absolute non-negotiable requirement for optimal function, never sacrificed for work, social activities, or entertainment, regardless of apparent urgency or attractiveness of alternatives. Sleep deprivation destroys cognitive performance, emotional regulation, immune function, and decision quality more rapidly and completely than any other single factor, making adequate sleep fundamental to all winning. One night of poor sleep significantly impairs performance for entire following day. Chronic sleep restriction creates compounding deficits that cannot be recovered through weekend catch-up sleep. Winners protect sleep ruthlessly through consistent bedtime and wake time even on weekends. Optimizing sleep environment for darkness, quiet, and coolness. Avoiding screens, caffeine, and alcohol before bed. And treating sleep time as sacred protected commitment. When faced with choice between sleep and any other activity, sleep always wins because everything else depends on it. The exercise commitment includes regular physical movement as non-negotiable practice regardless of schedule, workload, or competing demands, because exercise is not optional luxury, but essential energy management and cognitive enhancement tool. Regular exercise improves sleep quality, reduces stress hormones, enhances mood through endorphin release, improves cardiovascular health, supporting brain function, and demonstrates physical capability, building confidence that transfers to other domains. Exercise should be vigorous enough to challenge cardiovascular system, but not so intense that it creates depletion, requiring extended recovery. Minimum 30 minutes most days with combination of cardiovascular and strength training provides substantial energy and health benefits. Winners schedule exercise as non-negotiable appointment, treating it as important as any client meeting, because physical energy enables all work. The nutrition foundation fuels optimal physical and mental function through quality whole foods, providing stable, sustained energy rather than blood sugar spikes and crashes. Nutrition for energy prioritizes protein for neurotransmitter production and satiety, healthy fats for sustained energy and brain health, complex carbohydrates from vegetables and whole grains for stable blood sugar, and adequate hydration for all physiological processes. It avoids processed foods high in sugar and refined carbohydrates that spike blood sugar, then crash, creating energy roller coaster. Limits caffeine to moderate strategic use, preventing dependence and sleep disruption, and minimizes alcohol, which disrupts sleep quality and impairs recovery. Winners eat to fuel performance, not just for convenience or pleasure, treating nutrition as performance tool. The recovery practices prevent cumulative stress and fatigue from building to burnout through systematic restoration. Recovery includes adequate sleep as foundation, but also requires additional practices, including regular breaks during workday, preventing continuous high-intensity effort without rest. At least one full rest day weekly, with minimal work-related activities. Periodic vacation or extended breaks allowing deeper recovery than daily or weekly rest provides. And stress management practices like meditation, nature exposure, or enjoyable activities that reduce cortisol and activate parasympathetic nervous system. Recovery is not wasted time, but essential investment, enabling sustained high performance over years. The energy-depleting elimination systematically removes activities, relationships, and commitments that drain energy without creating proportional value. Energy vampires include toxic relationships that create stress without benefit, low-value commitments consuming time without meaningful return, chronic multitasking fragmenting attention and increasing cognitive load, and negative self-talk creating unnecessary psychological burden. Winners ruthlessly eliminate energy drains, protecting their limited reserves for highest-value activities and relationships. The monitoring and adjustment involves tracking energy levels and performance, noticing when they decline, then identifying and addressing causes, rather than accepting depletion as normal. Persistent low energy indicates something needs changing, whether sleep quantity or quality, exercise consistency or intensity, nutrition composition or timing, or recovery adequacy. Winners treat declining energy as signal requiring investigation and adjustment, not inevitable consequence of hard work. The implementation requires prioritizing 7 to 9 hours sleep, absolutely treating bedtime as non-negotiable, exercising minimum 30 minutes most days regardless of schedule or competing demands, eating whole foods for stable sustained energy, avoiding processed sugars and excessive caffeine, implementing systematic recovery practices, including daily breaks, weekly rest days, and periodic vacations, eliminating energy-draining relationships and commitments that create stress without value, monitoring energy levels and performance adjusting practices when they decline, and treating physical and mental energy protection as absolutely sacred non-negotiable foundation for all other winning habits. Where energy neglect destroyed capacity for execution, focus, review, skill development, and relationship building, making all other habits impossible. Protect energy as sacred foundation. Prioritize sleep, exercise, recovery. Guard energy or lose capacity for everything. You have learned 7 non-negotiable habits of people who always win. Habit 1. Starting day with victory routine. Habit 2. Maintaining obsessive leverage focus. Habit 3. Practicing relentless execution. Habit 4. Conducting daily review and adjustment. Habit 5. Investing in continuous skill development. Habit 6. Building strategic relationships systematically. Habit 7. Protecting physical and mental energy. What matters now is making one habit truly non-negotiable today. 5 immediate priorities. Design morning victory routine and execute tomorrow without exception. Identify your highest leverage activity and protect focus time for it. Take one concrete action on priority goal today despite imperfection. Conduct evening review tonight, assessing today and planning tomorrow. Schedule 8 hours sleep tonight, treating it as mandatory. Start immediately. Commit absolutely. Never negotiate. Stop treating success habits as optional and start making them non-negotiable. Stop sporadic, inconsistent effort and start unwavering daily practice. Execute 7 habits without exception. Commit absolutely and win consistently through non-negotiable discipline, starting right now today.